Track 52. Hi, Martha. How's the essay going?
Oh, hi, Carl. The essay, there's a lot of reading. It's difficult to remember all the different ideas and the different writers.
So, how do you keep up with it all?
Well, actually, I make a note of the writer's name and summarize their ideas in a notebook. It's very old-fashioned, isn't it?
It is a bit. Actually, I'm quite the opposite. I've downloaded some free software from the internet. It lets me save all the articles and e-books I get online and make notes on them. I like it because it's cheaper than printing everything. But what do you do, Enrique?
Oh, I'm afraid my note-taking system isn't as modern as that, and it's much more expensive. I print the articles I find online, and I photocopy pages out of textbooks. Then I go through and highlight all the important information with a pen. Not very good for the environment, I'm afraid. What about you, Jenny?
I'm in the middle, really. I don't use special software, but I keep all the articles I read online in folders on my PC and make notes on them there.
Track 53. Hey, Leslie, are you ready for the exam?
Hi, Jen. I haven't seen you for weeks. Am I ready? I don't know. I've been revising really hard, but I can't remember anything at the moment. You know, I get ready for exams by planning a revision timetable. It helps me make sure I've studied everything on time. But just before an exam, my mind goes blank.
Yes, I know what you mean. I've been trying out a new technique for remembering facts and details. I heard about it in a psychology lecture. What you do is put together pictures in your mind of the different things you want to remember. It's usually better if you can make the pictures funny, like cartoons.
I hadn't heard of that. It sounds like fun. Do you do that too, Indira?
Well, I tried it once, but it didn't help me much. I remember things by hearing them in my head. I can't really study in the library when people are talking, because I have to be able to hear myself saying things over in my mind. It's easier for me to concentrate if I study at home, late at night when it's quieter. What do you do to remember things for exams, Mark?
I go to bed early the night before the exam and get up very early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, and then I read over my notes again just to refresh my memory. I know a lot of lecturers tell us not to do last-minute revision, but it works well for me.
Track 54.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I take my phone into the exam if I switch it off?
Your mobile? No mobiles are allowed in the exam hall. You can put it in your bag, though.
Okay, but then what do I do with my bag?
Bags go in the lockers, down the corridor on the left. There are keys in the doors. Just lock the door and take the key with you. Over here. Look, have a look at the poster. When you've put your things away, go to the main door of the exam hall and show the supervisor your student ID card.
Oh, okay, I see. So I show my ID card at the door, and then when I get into the exam hall, I need to look for my examination number? Is that the same number as my ID card?
Yes, that's right. The same number.
So where should I look for it?
Your examination number will be on a desk.
Ah, right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good luck.
Track 55. Hi, guys. Is everyone set to study for the exams then? Does anyone have any hints about how to get ready for them? I'm not sure where to start, really. Any ideas, Barbara?
Well, Mac, there are lots of things we could do. I mean, we could start by looking at old exam papers, or we could go through all the lecture notes for each subject. What do you think?
I think it's better to go through this year's lecture notes first. I mean, the exam topics might have changed since last year. Do you agree, Jerry?
Yeah, I think you're right. The lecture notes will tell us what the main topics of the subject are. Do you think we could ask the tutors what the exam topics might be?
I think we could ask, and they might tell us roughly what to look at, but I don't think they'll tell us exactly what the topics will be.
I think it's a good idea to ask them, just to know what to focus on. So, what's next? What do you think about reading all the books on the reading list? Jerry?
I don't think that's a very good idea. We can't read all the books.
I think you're right. What I think we have to do is try to remember the most important details and arguments from the main writers and be ready to use them in the exam.
Yeah, okay. Then the next thing to do is look at old exam papers and see what kind of questions we might get.
Yes, that's where the old exams will help, looking at the type of questions.
Right. So, when we've worked out which topics we need to study and remembered the main ideas, we can look at old papers and write a few practice questions.
Yes, and that'll help.
CD 2, Track 1, Section 3. You will hear 3 students discussing exam techniques with their tutor. First, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 4. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Morning, everyone. I thought we'd get together today and just talk about exam techniques. I'm sure everyone has different ideas about them. So, shall we find out what you do first when you get into an exam?
Check that you have the right exam paper?
It sounds funny, but students do actually answer the wrong exam paper sometimes. So check that it's your exam first. Then what?
Write your examination number on the answer sheet?
Well, it might sound obvious, but writing your examination number at the beginning of the exam can be a good idea. Apart from making sure the examiner knows who wrote the exam, can anyone say why?
It can help you relax?
Yes, that's right. Doing something easy like that gives you a chance to calm down. Right, so what do you do next?
Read the questions carefully?
Well, before you read the questions, what should you do?
Read the instructions.
Yes, you should read the instructions next. You need to know how many questions you have to answer and whether you have to answer all the questions or only some. What other important information do you need to check before you start?
How much time you have?
Yes, Jerry's right. You need to make sure that you know how long the exam is so you can manage your time properly.
Before you hear the next part of the conversation, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 8. Track 2. Listen and answer questions 5 to 8.
OK, what do you do next?
Read the questions?
Yes, it's very important to read the questions, not just once, but several times.
I usually make a few notes when I'm looking at the questions. Sometimes a question looks easy, and then when you start writing, you realize that it's actually more difficult than you thought.
Yeah, but you don't want to spend too much time writing notes.
No, but it's a good idea to jot down a few ideas to see if you can remember the arguments for the topics you studied most.
Once we've decided, is it better just to start at the beginning and answer the questions as they appear on the exam, or should we start with the easy questions?
Well, I start with the questions that I know better and leave the ones I'm not sure of for the end.
That's what I do. But I still keep an eye on the clock, especially when the questions are all worth the same number of marks. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 9 and 10. Track 3. Listen and answer questions 9 and 10.
Mac's right. If you write one very good answer, but it's only worth 30% of the marks, you still lose the other 70% on that exam.
So it's better to write our main ideas for a question, even if we don't have time to answer it properly.
Yes, absolutely. We can't give you marks for writing nothing. But if you give us your main ideas, we can give you some marks.
Oh, really? I wish I'd known that in my last exam. I spent all my time writing a long answer to one of the questions and didn't get round to the other two. I didn't understand why I got such a low mark.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Luckily, my tutor explained it afterwards, so I never did that again. That is the end of section 3. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.